This is Dr. Ron's Words of Wisdom, words on leadership, goal setting, productivity, and a whole lot more. I trust today that this will be like a vitamin or a supplement for your mind and heart, and wherever you receive podcasts from, would you please subscribe to Dr. Ron's Words of Wisdom, leave a brief rating and a written review, and it will help other excellent people just like you to be able to locate this podcast. There's a tagline that I have at the end of every podcast, and anyone who listens and I ever see them or talk with them, doesn't take very long till they get around to that of you're doing better than you think you are, you really are. And I know it sounds like a cliche, and I know it sounds like happy talk, and it just sounds at times like just having something to say. But I genuinely believe today you are doing better than you think you are. And as much as that message is needed, it is always needed in times of disruption and discouragement and times when we aren't quite sure what the next step is. Now, there is a downside to doing all of these things, but one of the upsides is when we've been going through the things that we've been going through as a society and as a world in these past few months, you are as expert in knowing what to do as anyone else is, because there's not many people alive that were alive in 1918 when this flu epidemic hit the world. So we're all in uncharted territory. And so we're learning together and we're trying to figure this out as we go. But right now, you and I have been called to lead locally, not globally. Now, I'm sure that there's some listening that the reach of your organization does have global components to it. But what I'm trying to get us to see today is that our leadership is local. We start with ourselves. Are we leading ourselves well? Are we keeping ourselves on track? Are we allowing ourselves the moments to grieve? Are we allowing ourselves the moment to say, I'm feeling just a tad bit overwhelmed right now? Are we providing ways in our own life to have folks to talk to go see helping professionals who can help? The fact of the matter is you can't help even locally or beyond until you make sure you're doing okay. Your presence, leader, is required right where you're living today. Let's start with our families. Our families need us to be a leader. They need us to be there for them and to be there for each other. And so we have to start really right down to the common area where we live. Lead yourself well. Lead your family well. If you're an employee, lead at your job well. If you are in management or leadership in an organization, that's where you're going to have to show up. Right now, we can't just go through the motions and pretend. We have to continue on getting better, walking through all of this. There is just let's talk about we've talked about all of the attributes, all of the kinds of things that a leader is responsible for, and all of the kinds of things that leaders need to attend to. But never forget that primarily and first of all, it's just your sheer presence that is required for effective leadership. You can't be an effective leader anywhere, and especially locally, if you're not present, if you're absentee. And I'm not talking about necessarily physically not being there. There are going to be many of us that our jobs require us because of the area that we're leading in, and our job responsibilities do require many of us to travel. I'm talking about the presence of actually being there. Making sure that you put the distractions aside for a few moments, you put aside all of the things that are clamoring for your attention, and you look and listen at the folks there at the ground level. The heart of leadership is always the start of leadership. What do you feel you're supposed to be doing? Who are the people that you're working with, you're ministering to, you're helping, you're encouraging? Here's the thing about leadership. It's like lots of things in life. You can study, you can read books, you can get workbooks, you can go to college, You can go to webinars and seminars, and you can even ask the experts in any given field. But the only real training, often for whatever responsibility you are pursuing, is the actual doing of that. The only real training for leadership is just getting in there and leading. For many years, as you know, I have worked with pastors, and you can read books, you can go to seminars, you can go to workshops, but you're not really going to learn how to effectively do that until you're actually thrust into it, and there you are. Because again, we can learn from great role models, should, and have mentors. And I'm not against any of the things I have mentioned just a few moments ago. Reading, studying, getting better, having a foundation, all of those things are important. I think one of the reasons that we really don't grow into our leadership until we start doing it is, unfortunately, no one tells you that it's really the mistakes and when things don't go well where you begin to really examine certain sorts of things. I'm thinking that in many of the times that I had things that looked like failures, I were the seeds of some of the greatest learning and lifelong learning that took place. As someone has said, the only problem is the people who failed a lot aren't offering a lot of seminars. You can go to seminars and it feels like one person is just going from one mountaintop. They always have something wise and pithy and wonderful and cute and memorable to say, and rarely do they. I've often thought I ought to give a seminar on the 19 biggest failures in my career and what I learned from them, for it is the school of hard knocks. It is in the falling down or seeing that things don't work out so well that causes you to develop a humble spirit. It gives you a thirst for real life knowledge. It makes you realize that you don't have everything completely figured out and you aren't the fount of all knowledge. And it also helps you to say, sometimes I miss it. Sometimes I don't get everything correct. There are times that I needed to get a little more input, a little more advice. If I would have sought out some other inputs, I could have perhaps avoided what happened. But don't worry about what you're not going to avoid, because again, the greatest lessons oftentimes are learned when things don't go so well. So not only do I want you in the days ahead to learn from things that haven't gone well about your leadership, I want to give you another challenge, and that challenge is, if you're going to be a leader, I'm wondering if we're really leaders until we learn how to pass it on, learn to mentor others, learn to bring others alongside of us, and to pour our life into it. It'd be a terrible thing for us to go to our graves with all of this knowledge that we possess when there are so many folks who could benefit from our experiences, that could benefit from what we have learned from both the highs and lows of following along and living lives of leadership and seeking to be the best that we can be. Another thing that I want to challenge you with, these are some leadership challenges today, is really love the people in the institution where you serve. Regardless of what industry you're in, love the institution. It doesn't mean that there aren't room for improvement or that there is no room for improvement. It doesn't mean that everything's running perfectly. There are many things, I am sure, in every organization that need to be corrected, amended, opened, broadened, new perspectives. All of those things are vitally important. But sometimes when we are working on that, we get to the point that there's nothing genuinely worthwhile in our organization until we make all of these changes. You at least have to start with the heart that this is an organization worthy of our service, worthy of the world needing their voice. And what can we do to enhance? What can we do to help? What can we do to expand? What can we do to mitigate our weaknesses? How can we make amends for wrongs done in the past? All of those things are necessary, but you're not going to get very far if you come across as an angry person who is bent on changing everyone, and everyone is wrong but you. You have to love the people you work with. Yes, they have foibles. Yes, they're imperfect, just like me and you. So the question is, you aren't going to be very effective for very long if you don't have love in your heart. And the people around you, it's almost like a perfume or a cologne. The people around you can smell and detect whether you really care about them or not. If you have a passion, not just for the institution's success, but they'll be able to sense whether you have a passion for them to exceed. They will really begin to understand that you're just in it for the finances or the other perks or benefits, or are you really totally sold on the advancement of this institution because you believe in its mission. And everyone in the organization will be able to discern and tell that by just observing you. As I'm thinking of the leadership challenge, I am so thankful for people many years ago who invested in me, believed in me, even when I'm not sure that I believed in myself, saw something in me that there was some potential, and they gave me the greatest gift that anyone can give, the gift of their presence and the gift of their time. They were free with their advice, but didn't over-advise. They were there to take my phone calls when things didn't go well. They debriefed with me both after successes and less than successes. And at the time, though I knew it was helpful, across the years of time, I have begun to understand what a great gift they gave me. They gave me the gift of their influence and their presence. Leaders, it's been and is a challenging time right now. I don't know when you're going to listen to this, but every age, every generation has its difficulties. And we can either just focus in on what's wrong, or we can focus in on, why am I here at this point in my life for such a time as this? What is the impact I'm to have? Am I going to pay the price? Am I going to learn from things that have been painful? Am I going to be committed to my family, to the cause, to the entities that I am involved with? Am I falling in love? Do I love the people, and do I love the institution where I serve enough to do my best to leave a stamp on it of improvement? Or do I want to just blow everything up and start from new because I'm smarter than everyone that I know? The question will remain with you. And so the leadership challenge for you today is, be the best that you can be. This has been a hard time. Make sure you're taking care of yourself. Make sure you're taking care of your families, and you're really reaching out to your friends and others who are going through probably some really discouraging times. You just need to sign up for the fact that, am I committed to what I'm doing for the long haul? Getting through all of this, we'll get through it, but am I genuinely in love with the mission that I've been given? Am I going to genuinely love the people, warts and all, and say, we're going to come along together, and together we will be able to accomplish significantly more than any of us could accomplish if we just struggle along as individuals. And remember, my leadership friend, that your leadership is local. You need to show up where you are today and let your light shine right there. You have been listening to Dr. Ron's Words of Wisdom, words on leadership, goal setting, productivity, and a whole lot more. I trust today this has been like a vitamin or a supplement for your mind and heart, and wherever you receive podcasts from. If you would please subscribe to Dr. Ron's Words of Wisdom, leave a rating and a brief written review. It will enable other excellent people just like you to be able to locate this podcast. Now remember, my leadership friend, even in the hardest of times, even when we've gone places we never thought we would have to go or need to go, even in this difficult day, you are doing better than you think you are. You really are. And the challenge for you is to keep on, take care of yourself, take care of others, and be the leader that you are called and equipped to do. You've been listening again to Dr. Ron's Words of Wisdom, and until next time, this is Dr. Ron saying, have a great and blessed day.